I'm Jaden Kaler,
I'm Jess Claycomb.
I'm Shane Lemmel.
and this is the Upton Sports Talk. This year we're going to focus a little bit more on actual Upton topics in the Upton sports. And today we're going to talk about the Upton-Sundance Patriot football expectations.
How we think our Lady Cat volleyball team will do this season.
And we'll also be taking a look at the NFL playoffs and how we think those are going to go, how we think the seeding's going to go. And we'll also be looking at the NFL awards.
To start with our U.S. Patriot football team, we've started off with a good season so far. We headed to lead last Friday and beat them 44-8. We took a lot away from that game. We did a lot of stuff good, but mental issues were a problem, and there was other mistakes blocking-wise and stuff like that. That'll happen first game of the season anyway. But we scored 7 touchdowns that game, which I'd say is pretty good for a first game, but lead was our 0 week, so they weren't conference, so it was a good opening week for us, and our backs did good, our receivers did good, our defense was solid, only allowing 8 points, and it all starts with our linemen up front. I think they shut out first game.
Yeah, I agree. They opened up some big holes for Jess and I and Brad, and I couldn't be happier with the holes that we had to run through. And all 7 of our touchdowns were, 6 of the 7 were rushing touchdowns. The other one was a screen. But I think we played great, and there's definitely some things we're going to work on, like blocking, as we've already been getting on the sled and kind of pushing that around this week. So I think we're addressing those issues right now instead of later in the season, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah, and for myself, from a fan perspective, it's really fun to watch you guys play. The problem that I can see happening to you guys, however, though, is you guys have so much talent, it'd be hard to incorporate it all, because if you think about the receivers, you got Jess, you got Braden, you got Kai, you got Reese.
Ethan played good.
And Ethan played well as well, because if you have so much talent that you guys just don't know what to do with it, that could be a problem, I think.
Yeah, but I trust our coaches, and I think that no matter what, they'll try and utilize all of us to our best ability, and I think it'll be a good season. I think we can get to Laramie and hopefully win a state championship this year.
Yep, I think with the right calls and stuff, and if we play to our potential, we'll have an opportunity to play for the state championship, in my opinion.
Now, let's move on to the Lady Cat volleyball team. So right now they're 3-3 as they started the season off in Lingle Fort Laramie, and they had a good tournament there. They went 3-2, and I heard Caitlin Louderback got a little dinged up in one of the games, but they played close with Lingle and Rock River, and then they beat Han Elk Mountain, who was in the 1A state championship last year. So if they can keep it up, I think all the potential they have, and they're still a very young team with only 2 seniors, and I think they can get to state this year and hopefully get into the state championship and put Upton on the map for volleyball.
Yeah, I agree. And a couple weeks ago, when we were having technical difficulties with our microphone for our podcast, we had extra time, so we interviewed Kaylin and Allison Louderback, Jerica Kaler, and Haley Turner, which were the 4 starters that are returning this season. And they had some stuff to say about their team. They said they were a young team last year. It's pretty much the same squad. They lost 2 seniors, Maddie Beck and Katie Lambert. But I think they said they could fill those spots pretty easy. Their coaching is more experienced this year. And one big thing that me and Jade noticed that we play a lot of basketball in the off-season, and they said they put a lot of work in the off-season, lifting and playing open gyms, volleyball, and volleyball camps. So I think they'll look to a better season this year.
Yeah, we saw them playing volleyball a lot because we had to get out of the gym at 7:30 sometimes so they could play some volleyball, which was it sucks for us, but I'm glad that they were doing that, and I think they'll have a lot better season than they did last year.
Yeah, going off of what Jaden said, we'd have to come out of the gym a lot of times. And the turnout they had for the volleyball players that came to those open gyms, it was pretty extraordinary because you'd always have 5 to 10 to even 15 sometimes show out to come play open gym volleyball. And I think that says a lot about the program we have here and the culture we have in Upton to where we want to work hard and succeed.
Yeah, this was the best off season I've ever seen for Upton because a lot of the times we had 3 teams being able to run up and down, and I think that's good for everyone here. And all the football players were there, volleyball players, basketball, track athletes. We were all in the gym this summer and put in a lot of work, and I think it'll show this season.
Yep. Moving on, we'll move on to who we think our NFL playoff predictions will be for top 6 AFC and NFC. Shane, you go ahead first.
Okay, so who I got for the NFC? Number 1, I got the New Orleans Saints. Number 2, I got the Rams. And I did have the Green Bay Packers number 3, which I think could be, it's kind of an unsafe pick because you never know what the Packers are going to be. But however, since Ezekiel Elliott got signed today, I moved the Cowboys from the 4 up to the 3 because I believe he makes that big of a difference to the team. And then Green Bay at number 4. Number 5 is Philadelphia. Number 6 is the Chicago Bears. And I think a team that could sneak in there if one of those top 6 teams has an injury or something could be San Francisco because they're a young team. They're a young defensive team, and their offense is going to put up a lot of points this year if they can stay healthy.
Bias.
Yeah, that's a little bias coming from a San Francisco fan because the power rankings came out last night and they had San Fran at the number 30th power rankings, so that is not a playoff spot.
That was the Bengals.
But
That was, yeah.
no,
49ers
San
are at
Fran's like
24.
24.
As you can see, Jess doesn't really know what he's talking about, but, it's a free country,
but
so
top
he can
12
say what he
is a
wants.
playoff team, and they were not in the top 12 or even close. But
Oh, where was Denver?
okay, anywho, my NFC picks, I had the Rams 1, the Saints 2, the Bears 3, the Eagles 4, the Seahawks 5, and Dallas 6. And I had Dallas as 6 before Zeke was signed early this morning, and I didn't think Zeke would end up playing this season, so I could see Dallas moving up to like a 4 or 5 and like Seahawks dropping down. And then as my kind of potential teams that could move in are the Panthers and the Vikings. I think those are 2 solid teams that could easily move in there too.
Okay, so my NFC picks, I have the Saints at number 1. I think Drew Brees is hungry and he's going to have a great season this year. Great team. I have the Rams at number 2. They're a good young team still with Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, and they have a great offensive line, and a great defense with Aaron Donald, one of the Defensive Player of the Year candidates every single year. And then number 3, I have the Cowboys now that Ezekiel Elliott is signed. And when he plays, that team is just so much better than what they are without him. Number 4, I have the Bears. And we all know what they did last year. Came out of nowhere and surprised a lot of people. Number 5, I have the Seahawks. And number 6, I have the Eagles. I think that the NFC is the better conference of the 2. And I think it's going to be harder for a team like the 49ers to sneak in there, especially the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree. And like Shane, the Packers I don't think could be that team. Packers defense is usually not that great. Last year they didn't even really have a true running back. And-
Who is their running back?
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, last year it was Montgomery, and he was a wide receiver mixed running back, and you got to get a true running back in there to even have a chance at this stuff. You got to have good players at every position, I think, and I don't think Packers, even though they have Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks to ever do what he does, I don't think he can carry the whole team to a playoff spot.
I agree.
So AFC, what are your picks for there, Shane?
Okay, AFC, I got the Kansas City Chiefs number 1 because of Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to have another standout season. Number 2, I got the New England Patriots. Number 3, I got Cleveland. I got Cleveland so high because of all the acquisitions they made this offseason. I got the Chargers at number 5. And number 6, the last playoff spot goes to Pittsburgh for me. And then a team I think that could make it in there is the Baltimore Ravens because they always seem to be right there. And that AFC North division is pretty tough. Those 3 teams in there that could potentially be playoff teams.
For me, I have the Chiefs number 1, just like Shane. Patriots 2, Browns 3, like Shane. And then I have Houston Texans 4. I think they could be. I think they could even move up a spot or 2 with Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. Probably one of the best duos right now, wide receiver to quarterback in the league. I got Chargers 5, Ravens 6. I think Ravens could have a good season. They got Mark Ingram and Earl Thomas this offseason. 2 huge acquisitions that are game changers, really. And then I have, as my potentials coming in, Broncos and Pittsburgh. Broncos, I think they're going to have a better season this year. They lost Emmanuel Sanders to an Achilles, 12 games in last season.
Yeah, they weren't going to make the playoffs anyway.
But if they would have won those 4 games, they would have made the playoffs.
But they didn't.
But anyway, because
and they weren't going
Emmanuel
to.
was hurt. But I think that could be a major game changer too. They got Joe Flacco this offseason, which I'm not totally relying on Joe Flacco for my team.
Just
but
what
then
I'm doing.
if he,
I'm choking
if
like
Joe
Joe Flacco.
doesn't turn out, they also got Drew Lock, which was a good pick from Missouri this last draft, and I think he could have potential too. And speaking of, Shane said the Browns also could have a standout season. Browns being one of the worst teams in the league for the last, I don't even know. They've just been terrible for as long as I can remember. But getting Baker, their offense is just so explosive. They've got Baker, Mayfield, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Odell, and Jarvis Landry.
David and Joe.
With those 5 right there, that's alone one of the most explosive and most talented offenses in the league. Kareem Hunt got into an issue 2 years ago, or last year was it?
Yeah.
And when he played for the Chiefs, he was running for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, stuff like that. So I think he could have another standout season.
Well, he's not going to be able to play until Week 10 because
that's true.
He's suspended and he also got hernia surgery. So
yeah, but Nick Chubb still is their running back from Georgia. He's great. He could be one of the best running backs in the league, I think. And then adding Kareem Hunt to that mix just makes it even better. Yeah, their defense is good as well.
So for me, I have the Chiefs, Patriots, Texans in for the 1, 2, 3 spots. And I like what the Browns did this offseason, but I'm not quite on the hype train that everyone else is on because at the end of the day, they're still the Browns and they've sucked for a while. But I do have them at my number 4. But another reason I don't have the Browns as high up as everyone else is that the Baker Mayfield, he was one of the top quarterbacks that threw interceptions last year. I think he was in the top 5, and he has better wide receivers this year, but I don't know if his decision-making is always the best. I mean, he's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but he did throw a lot of picks. Then I have the Chargers And then I also have the Ravens to finish it out. And I think someone who could be in the hunt for a playoff seed is the Jets because they added Le'Veon Bell. And did they get C.J. Mosley too?
Yeah.
Yeah, and C.J. Mosley, who is a great defensive player for the Ravens. But I have the Ravens in there because they always have one of the top defenses in the league. And now this will be Lamar Jackson's full year, and I think what he did last year was pretty great when he got to play. He led them to the playoffs, and did they win or did they lose in the first round?
They lost to the Chargers in the first round, but they played a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game.
And just going back to what Jess said, he's right. There is only 12 teams in the playoffs. But I don't really believe Jess has any room to talk because while Jaden was talking, I happened to look up on CBS Sports the power rankings. Yes, it did have San Francisco 23rd, but a spot behind them was the lonely, god-awful Denver Broncos. And as you kind of saw throughout the show last year, Jess is he gets on the hype train for his little Denver teams all the time and kind of tries to hype them up when they're kind of not so good. So
All I know is I hope the Bengals tank so they can get Jake Fromm.
if I were you, I'd want Tua Tagovailoa.
No.
I'd want Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts is crazy good. But anywho, I honestly think Broncos will have a better season than San Fran because who does San Francisco have even?
Okay.
Jimmy G.
Can I throw
George
that
Kittle.
question?
Jimmy.
George
yeah,
Kittle.
you can throw the
Can I
question
throw
at me.
that question?
Broncos
Other
have
than Von Miller,
Broncos have Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, two of the best pass rushers in the league right now. They're both like top 10 pass rushers right now. Probably the best duo in the NFL right now.
No,
Yeah.
the Chargers have the best duo.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but Broncos are probably second to Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. But then they got Chris Harris Jr. and Bradley Roby at corners.
okay.
Their offense,
Old.
they've got Phillip Lindsay, who was a top 10 rusher last year. Royce Freeman from Oregon, who's a good back, too. He had over 500 yards last year. Emmanuel Sanders and Cortland Sutton, which are two good
Who's
wide
throwing
receivers.
him the ball? Just
Joe
tell me-
Flacco.
Who?
Joe Flacco, who won a Super Bowl in 2012.
Jeez, I don't even
I mean,
think
if
I
you-
was watching football back
Well, yeah,
then.
if you won a Super Bowl, though, you always have potential.
Well, I think
You
Ray
do,
Lewis in the defense and also bad play calling by the 49ers kind of won them that Super
Well, yeah,
Bowl.
but you can't give all the credit to the defense because
Well,
Joe
I-
Can't give
Flacco
it to-
got him to that
you
situation. He won
can't
that
give
for
it to Joe Flacco.
him. No,
Because
you
the
can't.
week before that defense held the Patriots to 12 points. With the last year of Randy Moss, they held them to 3 points. Or something like that. It was a low pointage.
Joe Flacco was a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, and I think
But
if
that
you
was
have
7
under-
years ago.
If you have that under your radar, you always have that potential, I think.
But
and
I
what
did
has
see
Jimmy Garoppolo done?
I did see
Well,
a
he has the
stat.
best winning percentage of any active quarterback. That's what he has done.
I did see a stat though. Joe Flacco was like 30th in value or something because he chokes in crunch time moments now. He throws a lot of interceptions, not a lot of touchdowns. Look at that.
In 2016, though, he threw, which was only 3 years ago, he threw for 4,300 yards. And if you throw for 4,300 yards, though, that's quite a bit.
And he threw 20 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
Well,
That's-
yeah, but if you,
Yeah, that's
Pretty-
pretty bad.
Yeah.
but no, that's not really that
No, that's
as bad
really
as you think.
Yes.
No, that's really bad.
Okay,
That's
but
not even
like
a one-
Jaden was saying Baker Mayfield was throwing so many interceptions last year, and here's the list for interceptions, which was Ben was number 1, Roethlisberger, who he's still we call him still a good quarterback in the league.
He's
Ben
a decent
Roethlisberger.
one. Average.
Andrew Luck, who won comeback player of the year last year. He was second in the league in interceptions. So
Tied for first, actually.
I don't think interceptions mean a whole lot if you're throwing a lot like these quarterbacks are.
Well, but a 20 to 15, that's not a good
And then
ratio.
Tom Brady, who was the best quarterback in the league last year, other than
No,
Patrick Mahomes.
not
Yeah,
really.
yeah, he was.
He didn't really have that good of a statistical season.
Well, yeah, but he won the Super Bowl, so it's like
Well, yeah, he won.
It's Tom Brady. He's the
he
greatest
won-
quarterback of all time, probably.
He won the Super Bowl 13
and he was tied fifth with Baker Mayfield with interceptions. So I don't think interceptions have a lot to do with it.
No, I think they do.
I think
Because look at those teams. How many of them with the quarterback were in the playoffs?
Andrew Luck, Ben Roethlisberger, and
Ben
Tom
Roethlisberger.
Brady.
They
The
didn't
Steelers
make
weren't
the-
in the playoffs.
They were close.
The Browns weren't in the playoffs.
But
The
Andrew
Jets
Luck,
weren't in the playoffs. The Broncos weren't in the playoffs, and that's top 5 right
Well,
there.
yeah, but Andrew Luck and Tom Brady were two.
2 out of the
Two
7
out of the
people that
5.
are in the top 5.
7 people in the top 5.
Yeah, because they're tied for first, then third, and then fifth.
Well, yeah, but Tom
See-
Brady and Andrew Luck.
Yeah, that's 2. Out
See,
of the
I-
7.
I get
I-
what you're saying about interceptions.
It doesn't
But
lead
I'm
to
not
wins.
saying Joe Flacco is that great of a quarterback.
Well,
I'm
he
saying
kinda
he does
were,
have
but-
potential. No, I'm saying if you win a Super Bowl, you have that under your belt, and people still think like it's not over because he won a Super Bowl.
No, people think it's
Well,
over.
I'm pretty sure everybody
Joe
thinks
Flacco's
it's
time's
over.
past.
Well, we'll see. see.
But going back to what you said, the Denver's defense,
Denver's defense is always good.
but it does them no good if they can't score any points.
Well, it does. Their defense will score points if their offense can't.
Their defense, yeah,
Their defense is always good. They haven't had a bad defense in a while.
yeah, since
And
like
it's always good.
2013.
Yeah, it's always good, usually.
But they are
So-
getting older, and
No, not really.
No, they are. Chris Harris is older.
Chris Harris is getting older for a cornerback.
Vaughn's
so
old.
is Vaughn.
Vaughn is not old.
Who are the linebackers even?
Shaq Barrett.
Okay.
Who else?
And
He's one of the.
who else is there, Jess?
Who else?
There's not one
I-
linebacker.
I knew him at one point. They for some reason their linebackers.
See, we don't even
They
know.
got rid of some of their good ones.
We
They got
don't-
rid of Brandon Marshall, who is now a free agent, who I think they should get back.
But he's
Because-
been gone for a while, hasn't he?
Like 3
Yeah,
years.
he went to
Yeah,
the
that-
Bears.
Then they
Yeah.
got rid of Danny Trevathan, who went to the Bears.
And he's been gone for a while.
Yep.
Gone.
Ever since that Super Bowl.
Huh?
Ever since they
Gone.
won
Well,
the
he's
Super
still
Bowl.
in the league.
Not with Denver.
Yeah,
Well, no, but I'm saying they
And
should
he's
get
been-
him back.
Yeah.
And
Those
you
two.
know, honestly, thank God that Danny Trevathan got out when he did, because they've been a complete dumpster fire ever since.
All right, let's go to the award predictions. For my MVP, I have Patrick Mahomes repeating, and the last time someone repeated as an MVP was Peyton Manning back in 2008 and 2009. So the odds in that way aren't in his favor, but coming after a 50 touchdown season, it's going to be hard to do any better than that, but I think the MVP goes to the best player on one of the best teams, and I think what he did last year was pretty great because that was his first year starting, and so basically his rookie year, and he threw 50 touchdowns. That's like unheard of. That would have been an NFL record a couple years ago.
I also have Patrick winning that. I think Carson Wentz could have a good season too.
I think if he stays healthy, he could have a good
In
season.
2017 he was running for MVP. He was third in the MVP running. So, and he's been one of the best quarterbacks since he came in the league too. And then I have Drew Brees, who's always, we know how good Drew is. He's always.
Yeah, I think we've all seen the stat where it says how many 7 quarterbacks have thrown for 5,000 yards or more in a season, and Drew Brees has done it 5 times.
Yeah, Drew Brees is that. You can never really count him out. I have him as one of my 3. I have, in no particular order, I got Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees, and I think with all the weapons the Browns added on offense, I think Baker Mayfield could have a shot, an outside chance at getting the MVP. But the interceptions, like these guys were saying earlier, could be a problem with how many he throws, but we'll see.
I think it'll come down to Patrick or Drew Brees again.
Probably. Because their teams, obviously playoff teams have a lot to do with it. So that's why you don't see, like, even though Aaron Rodgers had probably the best touchdown to interception ratio last year, his team wasn't in the playoffs, and that's why he really didn't get any consideration for MVP.
Moving on to Offensive Player of the Year, I have Michael Thomas, who was the best wide receiver in the league last year. Todd Gurley, who won it back in last year. Todd Gurley won it last year. Saquon winning Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. He can move up a step, I think, being not a rookie, but he's already deciphered himself as one of the best running backs in the league, probably top 3 in the league already.
Easy.
And so I think he could have a good chance at that too.
I think it could. I don't think Todd Gurley's gonna. I think he's gonna have a great season, but with the arthritis, I don't think he's gonna have as great as a season as he did last year. But I think it'll come down to Saquon Barkley with the Giants because they got rid of Odell Beckham Jr., so they could even become more run heavy this year than they were last year. And then I think with Mark Ingram leaving the Saints, I think Alvin Kamara, because he's been great for a while. Well, not for a while because he's pretty young still, but I think he has a good chance of winning Offensive Player of the Year as well.
Yeah, I agree. He's one of the best running backs and catching running backs in the league right now too.
Yeah, I agree with Jaden. Saquon and Alvin Kamara. And I agree with Jaden because of the reasons he just said. Because without Odell, the Giants will probably become more run-heavy. And Alvin Kamara is always a dual threat when you got Drew Brees at quarterback. Because Alvin's one of the best pass-catching backs in the league.
If not the best.
If not, yeah, definitely. And he can also run. He's a very elusive runner.
Yep.
For Defensive Player of the Year, I have Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald winning it last year.
And Khalil Mack was second, I think.
Khalil Mack is their two best pass and run rushers in the league right now.
Probably.
And you can't stop them, really.
Probably the best two and I think they're going to be the best two, and I think this award's going to come down to these two guys for many years to come.
Yeah, definitely. I have Aaron Donald or J.J. Watt.
Yeah, J.J.
But
Watt.
If he can stay healthy, he's
yeah,
good.
healthy. And I do believe, though, it could be tougher for J.J. Watt due to the recent, well, not just because of
Jadeveon Clowney trade.
Yeah, the Jadeveon Clowney
You
trade.
could see more double teams this year.
More double teams because now it's just kind of him on that line rather than the two of them. And it's kind of not going to be as easy for him.
So for Offensive Rookie of the Year, I don't think the number 1 overall pick's going to do it. I don't think he has the weapons, or I don't even think he's that great. He's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's ready to be one of the best. So I have the Offensive Rookie of the Year going to Josh Jacobs, that running back for the Raiders this year, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think Kyler Murray's going to do it just because he doesn't have that many weapons.
I think Kyler, that's my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year, is Kyler Murray or Josh Jacobs, like Jaden said, from Alabama. But
This was a heavy defensive class.
Kyler Murray, there's not a lot of offensive weapons, like they said. It was a heavy defensive draft, but I think Kyler Murray could do it. Winning Heisman last year and bringing that over to the NFL. He reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson. I was looking at Russell Wilson's stats compared to Kyler Murray, and they were almost identical. They're have the same speed, same height, everything along the lines, and I think he could have a good year, good starting year too.
Yeah, I agree with Jaden. I think Josh Jacobs could be the Offensive Rookie of the Year because, like they said, there's not a lot to pick from. And with the Kyler Murray thing, I think he's a good quarterback, But other than an aging Larry Fitzgerald, he doesn't really have any weapons.
Yep. So, Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have Nick Bosa. I think that was a great pick. We see what his brother can do, and it's kind of like T.J. Watt. We saw what J.J. Watt was doing, and now T.J. Watt's a great player too, and I think Nick Bosa is going to be the next great brother. But I think it'll be either Nick Bosa or Josh Allen from Kentucky, one of the best edge rushers that the draft had and one of the best defensive players that the draft had last year.
Yeah, I think Nick Bosa or Josh Allen too, but I also have Devin White from LSU, who's an inside linebacker, one of the best covering and rushing linebackers there is. He plays for the Buccaneers now. I think he could have a great season too.
Yeah, going off of what Jaden said, I like Nick Bosa a lot because with what his brother has showed, he has that same potential, I think. So I believe
His combine was better than Joey's.
Yeah, it was.
Yep, those are all good picks, I think. For comeback player of the year, I have either Le'Veon Bell, who held out last year with the Steelers and stuff like that, and never really got a show out. And the year before that he held out, he was the best running back in the league, I think. So I think for the Jets, his new team, I think he could have a great season.
And they don't have a lot of wide receivers, so they're going to have to be run heavy.
Yeah.
And Le'Veon is one of the best in the NFL to play right now.
Yeah, and I also have Earl Thomas, who was at Seattle last year and broke his leg, and gave Pete a piece of his mind when he left the field. But Earl, who now plays for Baltimore, could have a really great season too, I think.
I think that was a great pickup by Baltimore, and I agree. Those are my two picks.
Yeah, I like both of you guys' picks. The problem I see with Le'Veon, though, is he hasn't been on the football field in a long, long time. So he could start out kind of slow, and that could hurt his chances.
Well, he hasn't been on an NFL field. But you're saying he hasn't practiced or anything?
Well, I mean, like, nothing, when you hear the pros talk, nothing can simulate an actual game.
No, but
So,
Well, yeah,
but he still practices. And
these NFL players, when they're not on their team and practicing, they're training on their own with their trainers.
well, I'm not saying
constantly
that,
every
but-
day, like Zeke.
he lost 20,
Yeah,
30 pounds.
he never showed up to Dallas. Never talked to him. He went. Where did he go? Cabo, and he said he's ready as ever right now. So we'll have to see if he shows out just like he did last season.
Yeah, true. I think for my pick, it's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Bias.
Oh my
There's
gosh,
some more bias.
that
Well,
is
but it's kind of the reason I think is the quarterback position gets covered a lot more. And if he actually, even if his season isn't that great, like say he throws only like 25 touchdowns, I think he still has a shot at being the comeback player of the year.
No, I think Jimmy's trash.
I think he's good, but
I
I
think
don't think
he's-
he's going to win it.
Well, he's not even.
Well, the
He hasn't even
winningest,
showed out to be a Pro Bowl.
the winningest
quarterback yet.
coach in NFL history as far as Super Bowls thought him to be pretty good, obviously. So I don't know if your opinion kind of qualifies here.
Who?
Bill Belichick.
Oh, okay.
I think your opinion's kind of trash. but-
I never saw that about Bill.
Yeah,
I
me
think
either,
that's
but-
made up or something.
Oh, well.
Obviously he wanted him because he handpicked him to be Tom Brady's successor, and obviously he thought a lot of him.
And then he traded him.
Yeah,
Well, he
then
had
traded
to.
him 'cause he's trash.
He had to. Jess.
All right, that's all the time we have today. So we're going to try and get to do 2 podcasts a week, try to do a preview of the week with the Upton games, and then try and do another one. Monday will be the post game from Friday, and Thursday will be the preview. So tune in next week and find out how the Upton-Sundance Patriots did against Lusk, and who do the girls play? Yeah, we'll tell you. We'll tell you how they did too.
No.
No.
Don't press that button.